It all comes to a head at Daytona International Speedway this weekend for the NASCAR Cup and O'Reilly Series. That's right, the end of the season is almost upon us, and we're going to help you cash in on all the action with our best bets next, right here on the Backroad.
I don't drive a Monte Carlo, and my truck ain't painted black. It ain't got a big white number 3 turning left around the track.
All right, and welcome down the Backroad, FSAN's NASCAR betting show. It's Thursday, August 27th, and with the end of summer comes the end of the NASCAR regular season. We'll get you set from everything you need to know from a gambling perspective. I'm your host, Seth Woolcock, joined by a man who's gearing up for his first fall as a father of 2. He's our data and projections analyst. He's a known Tyler Reddick truther. He's Chris Collichio. Chris, how are you, and what are the vibes like as we prepare for yet another Super Speedway?
Yeah, man, I am thrilled to be here tonight. And yeah, I don't know about you. I've had fun with the short flats, but I'm ready for a change. Like, it's time to get to a different track. So I know it's Super Speedway. I know it's not everyone's favorite, but hey, as we'll talk about in a little bit, we have a new package. So maybe that could change the racing here. Maybe hopefully for the better. So I'm excited to talk it all through. And we got last race cut off before we go to the chase. So I think vibes are high personally. I'm excited.
Yeah, I think it could be a lot worse, right? I mean, we're coming into a time in the sports calendar. We're getting towards that equinox, just 2 weeks away from the NFL season. College football back in action here with week 0 as well. And I think Daytona being a night race, of course, just kind of really caps it all off, right, in pretty epic fashion. So I think it will be very fun. For gambling purposes, you know, I would love to head back to 1.5 miles. That feels like home so far this season, but I will settle for a super speedway nonetheless. The short flats were pretty good for us, but at the same time, as far as like what my eyes want, I think I do need a little bit of a change. So excited to break that down with you tonight and the IBT Racing family. Appreciate y'all tuning in tonight. We got Marcus hanging out with us as well as Stan. What's going on, guys? Marcus letting everyone know. Go ahead and put your picks and predictions into the chat, into the live comments afterwards as well. And Stan saying my random number generator predicts Cody Ware will win on Saturday night. I don't know, man. I don't know if that one will ever come true, unfortunately. Tonight's program does look like this, though. We do have in the rear view, we'll discuss the weekend happenings at New Hampshire. Then we'll go in the Horizon forecast, breaking down all there is to know about Daytona. And then, of course, Park and Garage props, our best bets for the weekend at the World Center of Racing. Be sure, if you guys can, give this video a thumbs up. That'd really help us as we head into the postseason here. And make sure you subscribe to the channel. We're trying to get to 2,000 subscribers by the end of the NASCAR regular and end of the season as well. So we'd appreciate that. And let's go ahead, guys, and jump right into it here with the first segment of the night in the rear view.
Baby, that's how you do it. Thank you guys so much. You guys are awesome. You are the fans. No way! We did it! Yeah!
All right, Chris, it was a pretty epic weekend up there in the great state of New Hampshire. Ryan Blaney takes home the Cup Series race. And look, dude, it felt like one of those races that wasn't all that close at the end of it. It felt like Ryan Blaney really had elite speed for most of this. What were your overall takeaways from the weekend up there in Loudon, and just Ryan Blaney continuing to rack up wins here as we close out the regular season?
Yeah, and honestly, I was a little salty because I felt like I was all over Blaney the previous 2 weeks, and he just shit the bed. And then I don't decide to bet him for Loudon, and he decides to show up. So I was salty in that aspect. But yeah, I don't know. New Hampshire was fun. I wouldn't say it was my favorite race. That first stage was like, it was just interesting with the rain and the rain tires, right? Or the whatever we're going to call them, the moist tires, I guess. Mm-hmm. It was fun to see like some of those guys work through that. Like, I mean, SVG was killing it on those tires. I mean,
So
I
good
was
every time.
I was fully doubting everyone out there that was like, SVG, you got to bet SVG if it's wet, because just had in my brain like Bell from 2 years ago at New Hampshire when we had the wet tires and he smoked the field, and I was more focused on that. But man, SVG is something else in those tires. Yeah, I don't know. I think the race got better obviously in the second and third stage when we actually had real speed, dry track. The first stage was just kind of ruined for me with the whole like, we ran it just to get, I think, just kind of churn laps off, but it didn't really mean anything, because then we come down, we have non-competitive pit stops, we put on the dry tires, and they like reset the field. SVG loses his 8-second lead. Like, it just, I don't know. It almost felt like they were just trying to churn laps just to beat the rain and, you know, just kind of see where it landed. And that's the part that was a little stale for me with that first stage. I always want more tire wear. I think that like we were spoiled the 2 weeks before that, and then we got nothing. Like 2 tires actually meant more this week, and I'm not a fan of that personally. So
yeah, the handicapping we're doing for these crew chiefs right now is just crazy, right? I mean, these are some of the brightest minds out there in racing across the world, and it's like literally going on a merry-go-round, right? Like that's kind of what it feels like, you know, that we're just tagging these guys along and making them go into a box, when I think it'd be a lot more fun if we just, you know, kind of let up to them when they switch tires, what tires they start on, and really have the control in their hands, right? So that was certainly a bummer out there. SVG obviously comes through for me on a big top 20 nonetheless, so I appreciate that. It was cool to see, you know, Connor Zilic looked sporty for a second on those rain tires. Everyone in the IBT Racing family was like, hey, we might play McDowell today too. You know, he was kind of up there for a bit. I think too, though, like we did see continued speed out of people like Bubba Wallace. I was excited to see him, even though he couldn't get there at the end. I thought realistically what he was showing overall on the day speed-wise was great. Josh Berry, same type of thing, right? The number got too short for me to get invested with Berry last week, but I did appreciate seeing him that. And what I think it was Denny Hamlin's first race in 10 plus that he comes outside the top 5. That was a little bit surprising to see. You know, I don't think we had, you know, we did have Denny outside of our, you know, top 3, I think, or top 2 at least of the model for the first time in a while, but it's still like, it was shocking to see him, you know, not have great speed overall.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, and like, you know, then you got guys like Bell, who I think at times in the race looks great. You know, I think he had speed as well, but then he, you know, decided to drag his pit crew member down pit road 10 feet. And then, yeah, I mean, it was interesting to see the comers and goers. Like, I think that there were guys that were faster than others. It's just, when you don't have tire wear, you can have guys take 2 tires or no tires. I think Chase Elliott even tried that at one point, and shake up the field and like not be able to pass. And that's the part that's just like, it's tough for me to like really gauge like who's actually got the best car. But I don't think there was any doubt. Like, I think Blaney was the best car. I think Josh Berry was phenomenal. It was interesting to hear Bubba's comments when he got out of the car. He felt like it was the worst handling car he had all year, but yet was so fast. So like, yeah, it's just interesting, some of the comments that were made. But yeah, I mean, hats off to Blaney. I think Blaney and Berry, I think we're kind of the star of the show.
Completely agreed with you. How did the betting card turn out for you? Because for myself, I'm down about 1.5 units coming out of it. I was heavy on the Shane Van Gisbergen top 20. Again, as I mentioned, minus 143 for 2 units. I was also high on Chase Briscoe, though. And honestly, Carson Hocevar, I'm pretty disappointed. It was some long shot numbers I was taking on Hocevar, but even just to see him not really get all that close to the top 10, and like same with Briscoe, it's very back and forth day for him. So that's really kind of where my betting card went out the window there. Tristan McKee hit a top 10 for me in the truck series on Saturday there. Lane Riggs, he wins the 6th race of the season, gained some really great momentum for being the top seed in the chase as well. And then I hit a nice little F1 Pierre Gasly top 10 plus 177.4 of a unit, but nothing too crazy for me. And that's kind of how the season's been. It's been a little bit of a yo-yo, right back and forth, you know, up 2 units, down 1 unit the next week. That's kind of how I've been. What about yourself?
Yeah, no, I had a great start to the weekend because I hit Reddick for the pole at 20-1.
Oh my! Oh wow!
So that was fantastic. I didn't have a lot on it, so I only net like 3 units on it. But then I was pretty heavy on Joey Logano and Seabill outright. I had Logano top 5 and Hamlin top 5, so all those not hitting really hurt. Yeah. I live added Bubba Wallace and Preece during the race at 20-1. So that was kind of a fun sweat. But at the end of the day, I really only hit Bubba Wallace top 10 and Bubba Wallace to win Group B, which was over Byron, Reddick, and Cindric.
Oh, group bet. Rare group bet from you.
Yeah. So that cash for me. So I ended up being minus 1.8 for the weekend. So, which sucks because you would think hitting a 20-1 would set you nicely for the weekend, but unfortunate that, the Logano top 5 and Hamlin top 5, those not hitting was really the ones that hurt me the most.
Okay. All right. Yeah. It was a fun weekend overall up there in New Hampshire. Hopefully, we can continue to make the product better if we are going to be on wets. Like, I think that's the big thing we need to do is just figure out what it is. I don't hate the tires. It's more just like changing what the roles are and how we're, hamstringing these crew chiefs and these teams really. But overall, we'll continue, hopefully swinging in the right direction this week as we head to Daytona. One quick news item before we do, though, Chris, we actually had this drop earlier this week. Austin Hill to drive for the RCR 33 team full-time in 2027. Austin Hill has certainly been a polarizing figure in the NASCAR universe for the better part of a half decade now, Chris. There's one thing, to say for sure about him, though. One, this guy, we know, especially in the O'Reilly series, he is a super speedway merchant. So this weekend, he'll certainly, I think, be on some cars. And at the same time, I think when you hear about really what he had to deal with to take over this ride for Kyle Busch, I think the respect for him and maybe some of that villain aura faded away and the respect kind of was gained this year. He opened up about that earlier this week. We saw a profile out there with him talking about it. What are your overall thoughts on Austin Hill from just a fan perspective, taking this number 33 ride into the future, and from a gambling perspective as well?
I'm impartial, I guess.
Oh, okay.
I still am just I'm not an Austin Hill fan personally. I don't know. I've never really liked Austin Hill. I do recognize like how hard a situation this was to step into, and I give him credit for that. And I don't blame RCR for signing him. It's just a 1-year deal. So a 1-year deal for next year, kind of prove it deal.
Mm-hmm.
Personally, I don't know what they're going to do with him after next year, but I think it's just like a stepping stone. I think they're just kind of giving him the respect of like, thank you for what you did this year. We're going to give you one year to prove yourself. But then they've got Chandler Smith and Carson Brown in the O'Reilly series in their RCR cars, kind of in the waiting, kind of developing. And I think they're the guys, the next two,
really
to take this seat in 2 years. I really do. I just don't see Austin Hill being the long-term guy here, unless, like I said, it's a prove it deal. So if he comes out next year, wins a super speedway, maybe wins a road course, he's been good at road courses. Mm-hmm. Maybe they keep him in the ride, but I just don't see this being a long-term thing. I think he's a short-term plan while they develop some younger talent.
Yeah, it's not a bad call. I'm going to be honest. Like, I don't know what Chandler Smith's trajectory is and if it is any better than Austin Hill, to be honest with you. They're both guys who like to junk some cars and, kind of say some dumb shit in the media, right? That's kind of both of their MOs. And I think both of them have grown a lot in their NASCAR careers, especially Austin Hill over the past, 3 or 4 months, right? But at the same time, what does it do from a gambling lens? Because I don't think there's much that you're going to be able to get invested with Austin Hill long-term next year. There's not really a championship number that I could even see being valued in a cash out scenario. There's also not a win total that I think I could bet other than, maybe under half a win, but it's probably going to be juiced to the point where it's probably not worth holding for, the 9-month season. So really, if anything, this kind of just scares me from a week-to-week standpoint, having this guy in the field a little bit, if he does continue to, be a bit brash and, make some rough decisions, especially in those tight scenarios on super speedways, on road courses when it's kind of do or die, right? So that is kind of like the biggest gambling takeaway for me is like barrel down the hatches and hope for the best, right?
Yeah. So I'm on the same page. Like, I don't think you can bet him for season-long bets unless you just happen to get a good number on under half, or maybe like a head-to-head like season-long matchup or something like that.
I don't hate a season-long matchup. Maybe like
right.
Would you take Zilich head-to-head with him next year?
100%.
Yeah, well, okay.
Yeah.
I just he's still at Trackhouse one more year,
Yeah,
so I think that would be
okay. Fair, because it might be one of the situations where Zilich is kind of like shut out of the door a little bit from like meetings because they know he's leaving. So that's a fair argument. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that one would be closer than you think. What about Zane Smith next year? Would you take Zane Smith head to head?
Yeah, I'd still take Zane. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So
yeah,
where's that? What if there's an Austin Dillon, Austin Hill line? I think I might take Austin Hill, honestly.
That's tough. That's tough. I mean, you might have to go Austin Hill there just because he's at least got the road course prowess, where Dillon has Richmond.
Yeah. So. Minus 115. Anything shorter, I think I'm hammering it. To be honest, I even trust Austin Hill a little bit more on super speedways. Austin Dillon still can mess around and find out, but the consistency, I feel like it will be there from Hill. But we'll see. Yeah. We got a couple last rodeos with him down in that number 21 car in the O'Reilly series. So, if you want to bet Austin Hill on some super speedways in the O'Reilly series and some dope ass equipment, this is probably the week to do it, right? We're not only going to get one more of these shots here. Hunter checking in as well. What's up, Hunter? Great to see you. Saying, hey guys, thinking a long shot wins, maybe Pole, Sieg, or Retzlaff for O'Reilly series and for Cup. He likes Buescher. We'll certainly talk about Chris Buescher a little bit later on here as well. And Elliot also checking in on his night off, saying, full trust that you guys will steer the bettors in a better direction for me at the super speedways. We'll have my betting card on socials tomorrow, though. Yeah, appreciate that, Elliot. Hope you're enjoying your night off. He kind of got shelled the last time we were out here at a super speedway, so he's like, Chris, Seth, you guys handle this one, and Ellie's been doing a great job for us this season. So glad to give him a night off. And Chris, what do you say we start breaking down this Daytona weekend though, and go Horizon forecast?
Let's do it.
All right, let's fire it up. All right, we're breaking down the Daytona race in the Horizon forecast, starting with the entry list. And looks like for Cup, we have 41 for 40 spots. You got Joey Gase back in the 44, Casey Mears in the 62. Great outing coming now in the 66. And then you also have Corey Heim back in the 67, and Daniel Dye will retake that 78 for BJ McLeod and company. In the O'Reilly series, 39 entries, 38 spots. More number swapping shenanigans this week as well. Ryan Sieg, he'll drive the number 38. That's going to allow Andy Janowski, Janowick, I'm going to go. He is the Dega Arca winner from this year to use the owner points for his normal number 39 ride. So keep that in mind. Ryan Sieg going to be in a little bit different of a unit out there. Weekend schedule this week as well. Friday, it's going to get going early, 3 p.m. Eastern time, O'Reilly qualifying. So make sure you're down for your ORS bets by then. 5 p.m. Cup qualifying, 7:30 p.m. Eastern time. The O'Reilly series will run the Winn-Dixie 250. And then on Saturday, 7:30 p.m. Eastern time, the Coke Zero Sugar 400. Chris, I want to talk a little bit about the points bubbles here, because I think these do actually impact betting and how maybe some of these drivers and teams treat the weekend. In the Cup side of things, you have Bubba Wallace plus 75. Basically just needs to start. He's probably going to clinch then. Austin Cindric plus 44 in a good position, plus 31 for SVG, minus 31 for Ryan Preece, and minus 66 with Brad Keselowski. Can only get in with a win and help. I think the biggest players in this that we need to be paying attention to is Austin Cindric, SVG, and Preece. Chris, I think they are the ones that on this bubble, like, I think SVG is going to be cautious. I think Cindric's going to be a little more cautious. Do they go up and try to get stage points and fight for those? Obviously, but I think if things get too hot, I think we see these guys drop back and just fight to see another day. What do you think the impact is here, and how do you see it going for both the 2, the 97, and of course Ryan Preece as well?
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of. I'm going to bring up the points a lot tonight. That was a lot of the steering that I went for my bet, just because I think there's some other scenarios outside of the bubble, even that could potentially influence how drivers drive this weekend as well. But for the bubble in particular, yeah, you nailed it. I mean, it's between those three. I mean, really, I would almost say it's between SVG and Preece, because when I went back and looked, like, the most possible points you can get in a race, I think, is 75, right? I'm pretty sure it's 75 or 76 if you get the fastest lap, I think. But if you go back and look at Daytona, Dega, and Atlanta from this year, no one has scored more than 66 points, because it's not like an intermediate where you can just go reel off 2 stage wins and win the race. It's just so hard to do. And Reddick did that at Atlanta, and that's just, I mean, Atlanta's its own beast. So I truthfully don't think we're going to see a 60, 70-point week. It's going to be a 50-point week for the winner, probably 55. And unless one of these guys wrecks out early, I just don't think the gap is going to be there, personally. I mean, think about it. Like, if Preece wins and he scores 55 points, I mean, SVG would only have to score, oh God, what's the math here? I'm not the accountant, am I? 24 points, right? So, like, that's easily achievable if he just runs a clean race. So, like, I don't know. I don't think the points are going to be at least the bubble. I don't think the bubble is going to be as interesting as it really probably we think it's going to be, unless Cindric or SVG wreck early, and then it's on. Then it's like, what's going to happen?
Well, and I think what it does too, Chris, is if you don't have a wreck early from the 2 or the 97, it puts Preece in a position where top fives, outright, they feel live, a little more live, right? There's a little more to them because Preece is going to have to go all out. While SVG and Cindric, I think like the top 20 market is the way we approach them this week, right? And we'll talk about that a little bit later, but right now I think that's the way you want to get invested, where they're just trying to get across the line, right? They want to be on the lead lap. If they can squeeze out a couple stage points, they will. But aside from that, they just want to be 10 toes down and making sure that they are getting across the finish line, in that top 20 position. So as far as the O'Reilly series here, we got Parker Retzlaff, Slim Jim, plus 46, Sam Mayer, plus 19, William Sawalich at plus 1, Brent Cruz at plus 1, and we also have Taylor Gray at -1 and Rajah Caruth at -15 currently. Chris, I know you're not a big ORS gambler, but at the same time, cool to see Parker Retzlaff in a position where he's at plus 46, and surprising to say the least that Sam Mayer is kind of, down here with the nitty gritty of it. William Sawalich, Cruz missing a couple races. I can understand why Cruz is down here. Sawalich's kind of been a back and forth yo-yo type of driver. So overall thoughts on the O'Reilly series bubble, and if you had to pick the drivers who do make it through here, who would it be?
Oof, that's a tough one.
I think Slim Jim's making it.
Yeah, yes. Retzlaff's in. I think he's in. I think no doubt. Sam, he should be okay. I mean, the rest of these guys, though, I have no clue. I couldn't even. It's a toss up. I mean, it really could be any of them. What's really interesting about this though is I don't know if you've taken a peek at the ORAPS championship odds lately, but Cruz is the second favorite despite being on the bubble, which I think is wild to me. Like he's plus 450 to win the championship. Wow. So I mean, potentially a big week for him for his chances in the chase, but for bettors out there to catch some numbers before things shift, because if Cruz is out, then the numbers are going to move big time. So
maybe the last time to bet Gator, right?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, he's like plus 130 anyways, but for parlays,
I've done way worse things with plus 130 though. You know what I mean? Like I've bet way dumber things for way longer in a futures market than that.
Yeah. But either way, this bubble is going to be a lot more fun to watch than the Cup bubble, in my opinion, because those O'Reilly races can get even more wild than the Cup cutoffs typically are at Daytona. It can turn into a shit show real fast.
I did a little bit more research on Rajah. I'll talk about him later in a bet I have him for, but I actually think Rajah is going to come from the back here. I would not be surprised if Rajah finds himself in it. He just needs really one of Cruz or Sawalich to wreck, and then I think he's really dancing. But regardless, this is a guy who's been out front for a lot of stages this season. He's been racing in the top 5 in this number 88 car. So I think Rajah, if we could bet on it right now and I could get some plus money value for Rajah to make the playoffs, I would certainly do that. Wouldn't that be a great market to have out there to make or to miss the playoffs, just like college football? I think that'd be excellent.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I feel like we might have had that in the beginning of the season, like before the season started. But I think they took it down pretty quick.
Maybe. Okay. Yeah, that would be news to me. And if that's the case, I'm really sad that I missed that, but definitely will keep my head on a swivel for that in 2027. Chris, let's talk further here about the track preview and the trends as well. Of course, we're going back to Daytona International Speedway. This track right now is a 2.5 mile super speedway, the primary comp. Chris, this is the debate always. What is your primary comp that you're using in the modeling versus your secondary comp? Because Atlanta, Talladega, they do race differently than Daytona, especially Atlanta being a little more handling, but Talladega a bit more wide than Daytona.
Yeah, and this is always hard, but I mean, generally I just use drafting tracks. So I tend to use just Daytona and Talladega specifically for those two races. Mm-hmm. When we get to Atlanta, I do still use Daytona and Talladega for Atlanta, but I don't use Atlanta for the other two, if that makes sense. Okay. Like I don't do it vice versa. Now, with that being said, I did change it a little bit this week because I did throw a little bit of Atlanta in there for two reasons. One, we have a brand new package that we're unveiling this week at Daytona that Denny's talked about in his podcast. He expects it to make about a 20% difference in what we've seen. He does think handling is going to come into play. He talks about how he thinks there's going to be teams that are going to miss the setup. I think that's a lot of what we just saw at Atlanta in the summer race. So I think I'm hoping we see a little bit more of what Atlanta looks like. So I did throw a little bit more of Atlanta in this time than I normally would.
Okay.
I normally would focus just mainly on Talladega and Daytona, and that's it. But I do have Atlanta just for that, just the hope that this package actually makes a difference, and we're not just going to see this fuel savings race. We actually might see a race that has handling and matters. So yeah, I guess that's really the main point. But yeah, I mean, it's really just the drafting tracks, and that's really about it. I mean, I know Talladega is longer and wider, but to me, a drafting track is a drafting track. So we're just going to throw them in the same bucket.
And I know in the projections you did include momentum driver rating and momentum average finish, but this is one of those races where I'm willing to throw that a little bit out the window. You know what I mean? Like I'm still considering it. There are some drivers who've been hot lately, and I think, you know, continuing to back them, we've seen the swing of things come back around where Ford, Penske specifically, all of a sudden has a lot of speed. I think we see them, you know, dominating the lap counts in this race, but that doesn't mean anything for the average finish. So just something to kind of keep in mind out there as well. But we also have a comment coming in from Andrew saying, probably skipping any betting, maybe something small to keep it interesting. No edges on speedway races. It's certainly hard to find those edges, Andrew. You know, I still think there's like value to be had out there when you look at some numbers on some sports books and what you can find other places. Like that does show me there is, you know, a little bit of EV out there, but it's definitely harder to have an edge as a gambler. And you're definitely throwing a little more caution to the wind and definitely, you know, giving that VIG up a little bit more here in these types of races. So I completely understand though, if you want to sit on the sidelines for this one. I know Elliot will be, and I'm sure many others as well. Chris, let's talk trends here. Active next-gen winners at Daytona. Byron has 2 wins. Austin Cindric has a win. Austin Dillon has a win. Ricky Stenhouse Jr., Chris Buescher, Ryan Blaney, and Tyler Reddick. Pretty good group of guys, honestly. That would be another fun market to bet, like, will a next-gen winner win here this weekend? And, like, honestly, I'd probably bet the yes side of that. There's some names in that I really like. Average start of the winner in the next-gen era, 15.3. So qualifying not going to really matter as much as you would think here. Ryan Blaney last summer, the only driver to win here from the pole in the last decade as a whole. Average finishes since 2023. Chris Buescher, 8.1. John Hunter Nemechek, 14. William Byron, 14.6. Chris Bell, 14.9. Alex Bowman, 15.9. And then old Cody Ware, 16.0. Again, what could have been in that 2024 Daytona 500, man? If he was on the outside lane instead of the inside, he might have gone to victory lane, but not his time there. Chris, any other things from your projections that we should keep in mind this weekend?
I don't know about the projections. I do want to go back to Andrew's comment for a minute, though. Talking about, you know, skipping betting and keeping things interesting. Listen, as Seth knows, it's fantasy football season. So one thing that I just did for one of my leagues, take your league, throw all your members in a do like a randomizer, right? Take 1 through 10 or 1 through 12. Then take every driver from this race, put them in a wheel,
Love
spin
that.
it, give everybody in your league one driver. Let that decide your draft order for your fantasy football draft. Just wherever your guy finishes, just the finishing order. I'm pretty stoked to do that, honestly. We just did it earlier today. I spun the wheel for our league, or one of our leagues that I'm in, and I think we had like maybe 1 or 2 guys. Like I think we had Byron and Hocevar, but the rest of it was like John Hunter Nemechek, Todd Gill, and Michael McDowell. So it's going to be really fun to kind of tune in and watch. So you can still have fun and not bet. You can still bet, and you know, just in smaller margins. You know, I know like Full Tank Phil. You know, shout out to him on his podcast. He always talks about doing the shotgun unit. He takes 1 unit, splits it 10 ways, and just hopes to win, you know, 2 units out of it. Like nothing crazy. So by all means, like don't go crazy this week, but you can still have fun with it.
Yeah, I love that point of view. And also, you know, T's and P's out to Phil and his family, man. I know they're going through a pretty tough thing right now, pretty big tragic event in their life. So T's and P's out to him, one of the OGs of the NASCAR gambling industry. And Andrew, completely understand this one. Chris, I appreciate that point as well. Chris, let's go ahead and round it out here with the iFantasyRace.com Asterisks Mark Driver of the Week before we get into the actual gambling here.
Yeah, so this week's Asterisk Mark Driver of the Week is the number 11 car, Denny Hamlin. He's had a lot of tough afternoons at Daytona in the next-gen era, and this year's Daytona 500 was no different. In February, Hamlin looked good but finished 31st. In the race, Hamlin finished just outside the top 10 in Stage 1 and was slightly damaged in the lap 124 Big One while running in the top 5. The 11 was then involved in the final caution on lap 192 while running P12 after contact with Christopher Bell. Overall, Hamlin was tied for the best average running position at 11.7 and ranked 12th for drive rating on the day. In sneak peek, you'll hear a little bit more about Denny Hamlin in a little bit too. So
Okay. All right. Denny Hamlin, maybe better than you expect here at Daytona. He's always a fun one because he was one of the first guys to really like adopt this strategy. I don't give a hell about stage points. I want to get to the finish and try to win this race, right? And I've always, respected Denny Hamlin kind of on the cutting edge of things out there. So number 11 team, certainly one to watch. We'll talk about them a little bit later. We're going to get to the bets here in just 1 second. Before we do, a real quick reminder that if you're looking for an exciting fantasy football opportunity, we just talked about it, with great prizes this season, look no further than our Draft Night Out online leagues. That's right, for the first time, it's not just a live event in Canton anymore. Usually every single summer we have a live event in Canton. We have 15, 16 leagues different going off. We got, shenanigans happening on the stages. Beers are being drunk, food's being ate. It's always such a great vibe out there. But now we're actually bringing that to you in an online version. We got on the Sleeper app right now, 12 team leagues going off, and every entry comes with a 1-month free trial of FSAN Pro. That's going to get you more access over there at fantasysportsadvicenetwork.com. You're also going to get access to the FSAN football rookie guide as well. And if you win your division, you're winning a mini title belt. And if you win the playoff challenge, that is going to take home the ultimate grand prize, a PS5, PlayStation 5 with Madden 27, and your very own championship ring from Trophy Smack. And a portion of every entry is also going to go to Mission 22, a charity supporting America's veterans and their families. Go ahead and get the real same feel-good vibe of our in-person event at your online convenience right now. Sign up today at draftnightout.com. Again, that's draftnightout.com. And if you use the promo code BackroadDNO, you can get 10% off your entry right there at draftnightout.online.com. So a lot of fun stuff happening. Chris, when do you usually do your fantasy draft? Do you have a certain date? We are usually, for my home league, going off on the Sunday of Labor Day. We have a golf scramble in the morning, get all tuned up, and then head back to my buddy's house.
Yeah, same. We target that Labor Day weekend. I think we're drafting that Monday actually. Oh no, it's Sunday Labor Day. We're doing Sunday Labor Day as well. So
all right.
We have my home league. We're going on year 16 of our league.
Year 16. Wow.
We just had a trophy with it had 15 nameplates on it. So now we got to get a new trophy for the next 15. But yeah, it's a fun time. We all meet up do a live in draft person. So it's fun.
Love that. When you trade the trophy now, will you trade both trophies, or will the person who won the most leagues, will he get to keep the OG one?
I think we actually decided on whoever won year 15 gets to keep it. So the guy who just won the past year. Oh,
that's sweet. That is cool. That is a good way to do it. Our league is called the Keg, Kane's Extraordinary Gentlemen. That's the town we're from. And we actually just made a keg. We took a mini keg and my brother welded it on to a trophy right now and painted it gold. So that's what we have rocking over there. And yeah, looking forward to that, guys. NASCAR betting, always certainly one of my favorite things in the world, but fantasy football definitely up there as well. And Andrew's saying, I don't want to admit how many best ball drafts I have done. Hey, dude, I feel you. The best ball bankroll definitely shortened it up a little bit this year, so I could, have more in my bankroll to NASCAR gamble, as well as get in the futures market for the NFL and college football. But a lot of stuff good happening over there. Andrew saying I might bet SVG, Preece, and Cindric for stage wins. Don't hate that. Not a bad strategy, especially Preece. I think that might be a fun ticket to sweat out there. So let's go ahead though, guys. Let's fire things up here in the Parking Garage props. All right. Impressions of the Sportsbooks, Chris. What did you think this week? How did they do? I think the offers continue to be out there at a good time. I think the offers continue to be out there in so many different markets you can get invested with that I'm still pleased. I think we are kind of in the golden age of NASCAR betting, especially, you and I mean, when you were starting out, I don't even think you could bet legally in your state. You have to, would go through some means to find some action. And for me, I'm just, living right now in heaven with all the prediction markets I can have up here as well.
Yeah. The Bovada days are over, luckily. But yeah, no, you're right. I guess I'm not very picky when it comes to betting because I don't really explore a lot of the crazy markets that are out there. I'm pretty much just like an outright top 5, top 10 kind of guy.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, I'm with fantasy football upon us, college football upon us. Like, we typically get put on the back burner, and our odds sometimes tend to get a little bit later and later just because football takes priority. But everything was on time this week, so that's all we can ask for, right? I mean, like, everything posted Monday, Tuesday. We have all the same offerings. The only thing I guess I'm a little upset about is that I feel like they're really shrinking our margins on the super speedways. I think we had like 15 drivers under 20 to 1 or something like this week, which was a little crazy.
You can't bet the favorites right now. Like, I feel like it's just hard for me to bet anyone at 10 to 1, right?
Yeah. But at the same time, like, I don't blame the books for doing that, because if you look at the winners in the next gen era at super speedways, it kind of is the who's. I mean, outside of like Harrison Burton, Austin Dillon in that rain race, I mean, pretty much you've got the Blaneys, the Byrons, the Elliots, the Reddicks, right? Like, it's, yeah. So it's not a lot of like super long shot
couple
guys.
Stenhouse long shot 45 to 1s or something, you know.
But at the same time, like, yes, they're long shots, but Stenhouse he's not a surprise to me.
Right.
Like, he's a super speedway guy. Like, really, the only guys I can think of top of my head was Harrison Burton. I mean, that's the only one that was like a true shocker.
True.
So I don't blame the books for putting, you know, the who's, you know, under 20 to 1. It's harder to have a lot of fun if you're, you know, I used to go crazy with 20 and 30 to 1s, but now I'm kind of in that like 18 to 20 range, just kind of living in that market.
Yeah.
So,
well, let's go ahead and start there then, because you and I got a little squad ride starting at the top, and it's a guy who's proved to be one of the best on super speedways, at least here in 2026.
Yeah. Carson Hocevar, man. I mean, just to start with Carson, like, I mean, he's had a little bit of a slide in the standings and when it comes to the playoffs. So I think he needs some momentum going into the playoffs. I think this is the week to do it. He wakes up for these races, though. I mean, he absolutely loves super speedways. We've seen it this year already, you know, winning Atlanta, or winning at Dega, 4th at Atlanta, 1, 3rd at Atlanta, 2. So between those 3 races, an average finish of 2.67 if you look at just Dega and Atlanta. If you bring Daytona into the fold, he finished 18th in the Daytona 500. So it brings it down a little bit, but still, he's still, I believe, second on the season second on the season as far as average finish goes, among all drivers, only behind Tyler Reddick. He has an average running position that ranks top 10. I just truthfully, Carson, I don't care what, you know, everyone says about how, like, you can't pass at these races. Carson finds a way. He's one of the guys that will find a way. He bullies his way to the front. It may come down to the end where he doesn't have the help, and at 18 to 1, that's all I'm asking for, is to have a sweat at the end of the race. Because in my opinion, there's no better sweat in NASCAR betting than having like 2 guys like in those last 2 rows come into the finish line. It's the best sweat in the world, and I think Carson's the perfect guy for it this week.
I completely agree, and I think the way you need to play him is in the outright market. And then if you want to do what I did here, I got a plus 350 top 5 ticket at BetRivers. I was happy with that price. I was seeing, you know, 3 to 1 plus 275 most books. Our friends from Pittsburgh, though, go ahead and set us up with a really nice number there on Carson Hocevar top 5 at plus 350. But really, like, he either finishes top 5 or he doesn't finish in the top 10. Like, I don't think it's really worth your money to scale down there and go for a top 10 or even a matchup, really. And I think the thing you just have to throw out with Carson Hocevar here is he has changed the way he's been driving on super speedways. Like, his Daytona finishes are not good, right? P40, P11, P30, P34, P18. This is more about what have you done for me lately on the super speedways, right? And Carson Hocevar, he's going to be there at the end, right? Like we kind of know that unless something crazy happens to him. I think this is the way he gets back invested. And he is a little bit better usually in this fall race as well. So we'll see what happens out there. We know this is a guy who, you know, has probably taken the time to figure out this new package more than almost anyone else because he loves being in the sim. So yeah, I like the tail there on Carson Hocevar. I'm down there with you on the outright right now. I got him 18 to 1. And that plus 350 on the top 5 at Rivers. You then went on that 18 to 1 at theScore as well. What 1.75 unit, pretty heavy play there for you. You're liking the Husqvarna, huh?
Listen, this is. It's not very popular. I get it, and I'm the one who, you know, 10 minutes ago just said, like, take it easy on super speedways. But it's just always been something that me and Ian have enjoyed doing on super speedways. Is we're going to play, you know, typically when my cars on a normal week is like 30% outrights, 70% props. Yeah. I kind of flip that on its head for super speedways because I just don't trust the matchups. I don't trust the
true
finish positions. So I just go I'm trying to go for a big win. So, I'm typically playing for, I'll probably play 7-ish units to win like 21 units.
Right.
So I'm trying to go for a big week.
F it, we ball, Chris is saying. I love it.
Yeah.
I got an outright here for you and a top 10 ladder. Chris Buescher on the outright plus 224.5 at Kalshi, just over 22 to 1 there. And then top 10 plus 165 at FanDuel. I'm down about a half unit on the outright and 0.8 of unit on the top 10. And I honestly think, Chris, that like you look around and Chris Buescher might be the best value on the board this week for someone who is right now coming in very high in our metric, third overall, a B plus 80% IBT grade. And I love getting the value here in the top 10 line. I've seen this down to plus 130 and no better than plus 150. I actually placed this at a different book, and then they let me cash out because I found the plus 165, which I was grateful for. And the outright at 22 to 1, that's the best price I've seen pretty much anywhere else. So I'm getting a little bit, a free EV over there at Kalshi with being over that number right now. But again, third in our metric. This is a guy who has the best average finish at Daytona in the next gen era. 11.1, 4 straight top 10s and 6 top 10s in the last 7 races here down in the great state of Florida, man. Number 2 in the total speed rankings, second in average running position in that span. And also you look at the summer race in particularly, 7th best loop data here. So this guy's been out there. And what have you done for me lately on these types of races? 4th in comp average finish and 5th in comp average start this season. 10th at Atlanta, 2nd at Talladega, 15th at Atlanta the first time around, 7th at Daytona, led an average of 6.5 laps per race as well. So I just think the Bushwhacker, with him not having to worry about the cut line, Chris, I think he can be a little more aggressive than in years past, and I think he's going to go for it. So I love Chris Buescher here at 22 to 1. I also love him at the top 10, plus 165. I'm all in here on the number 17 team.
Yeah, I mean, no arguments for me. I will be on Buescher in some capacity. I just haven't decided what market I like him in yet. I mean, it'll probably end up being the outright, if I'm being completely honest. I've just the only scenario in my head that I've been kind of playing out, and I'll be talking about in a bet in a minute. But I do think the RFK is going to be really focused on getting Preece into the playoffs.
Yeah.
So there's a part of me that it wouldn't surprise me at all to see Preece, Buescher, and Kez in a line those last 2 laps, just trying to get Preece across. So I'm just trying to figure out what that is, what that play is going to be. I might actually be leaning, even though I said I don't really love to play it, I might be leaning like a top 5 just because, it still cashes if he's helping his buddy across the line.
Yeah.
But I don't hate the 22 to 1 at all. He is, like you said, there's a lot of green in my model this week for Buescher. It's really trying to it's flashing at me saying bet me, and I just haven't quite got there yet. But I have no arguments. I'm trying to figure out the best angle.
No, and that's a great point, man. And that's kind of the thing I was thinking about earlier too, is where will Chris Buescher's head lie? But when you've gone on a winless streak like him too, I think at some point you have to think about yourself, right? And we know him and Brad Keselowski at times have battled for wins and had to do what they've had to do. And sometimes it doesn't end up in RFK's favor. But when you're winless like this team has been, and I mean, I couldn't even name, is Watkins Glen the last 2024, the last RFK win? Has there been one? I don't know if there's been an RFK win since. I don't think they won a race last year or this year.
Yeah, I think it's Watkins Glen or when did Kez win Darlington? Was that last year or 2 years ago?
I think it was two years ago for sure, but I think Watkins Glen came after that, but I could be, it was one of those races though, right? It's been a minute, man. And speaking of RFK, Chris, stay in that stable here because you are on Ryan Preece, who needs a hell of a weekend here to advance into the postseason after an unfortunate penalty 2 years in a row.
Yeah. I mean, that's a big point here, right? If he doesn't get that 25-point penalty early in the season, I mean, he is in a much better position than he is right now. So I hope he's
NASCAR's be kicking themselves too because they're like, dude, what a better product that could have been if he was a little bit closer,
Yeah. I hope he sold a lot of those "Don't Push the Button" shirts to make up for this. But either way, this is going to be the most fun one to watch. I think that this price is insane for what's on the line for Preece. Truthfully, I mean, he has to win. I kind of talked about it earlier, right? I mean, he's got a 31-point gap behind SVG. If SVG doesn't wreck, and just races his race, or the Cindric, if neither of them wreck, Preece has to win. And even then, he might not get in. So he's got to go for it. I mean, RFK, specifically at Daytona, they always work well together. They're very much like Penske, where they like, if you just find these guys, I guarantee you all three are going to be together. I just think that a lot needs to go right for Preece, but Preece he's not a slouch at super speedways. I mean, if he's not doing 50 somersaults and then landing on his roof, he's in the mix.
Yeah.
So this is more about just the motive of like, he kind of has to go for it more than anything else. And I think this number is a tad long for what he has to do. I thought this would be a little shorter, so when I saw it, I jumped on it. But yeah, I mean, he hasn't been a slouch at all. I mean, a 9th in Atlanta this year. What did he do at Daytona? I should have had that pulled up. Not great radio here.
The finishes haven't.
The
finishes haven't been awesome. I feel like at Daytona for him, but he's someone, again, he's kind of just in that position. I feel like he has to go for it a little bit. And you even look at like his recent next gen finishes too at super speedways. Some of that's thrown off. He did get DQ'd that one time too at Talladega. And yeah, it's just like, you kind of have to look past like the bad Daytona finishes, which again, I think the right way to bet Preece this week is like outright or nothing. I'm not touching him really any other way.
Yep. Agreed.
Chris, you also have a couple outrights here on some Toyotas. Talk about them.
Yeah, I've got. Oh, you want to do that one first? Okay, I'll save the shirt then. So yeah, Denny. I'll start with Denny. This is more just like a feel bet than anything else. On his podcast specifically this week, he talked about how he was a major player in the developments for this new package. He was in a lot of the talks to decide what he felt would be best to make super speedway racing better again. So that's a part of it. He also talked about this week how he thinks handling is going to matter. He thinks that there's a possibility that teams could just miss on this package. And he also said that he thinks that within the first 10 laps of this race, you'll know what kind of car he's going to have or what the car's doing.
Oh, wow.
He flat out said in his podcast, if you see me going for it, then you know that the handling actually matters. If you see me duck out and go to the back, it's because people are out of control and they don't have the handling on their car, and it's just going to freak me out. I'm just going to send it to the back. But at the end of the day, he's clinched. He's 100 points up on whoever it is in second. 70 points up, I guess. 77.
Blaney, right? I think it's Blaney now.
Yeah, Blaney. Yeah, 77 points up. So he can't even lose. If he wrecked on lap 1, he still can't lose the regular season championship, right? So he's got nothing to worry about. He can kind of go for it if handling does matter, and it comes back to the hands of the drivers and not the fuel savings of the crew chief.
Right.
We're talking about one of the best guys in history at Daytona. Like, Denny's got to make a comeback at these super speedways. I know he's had no interest. I understand that there's been races where he's just pulled to the back and it's been super annoying. But I think this might be the time where we actually see Denny try and actually give a shit. And at 20-1, I'll take that shot all day.
Yeah, I think if there's ever a time to bet Denny Hamlin on the outright at a super speedway, you're probably right. Like, honestly, you're kind of talking me into it a little bit just by everything you kind of disclosed there. So, yeah, I don't hate Hamlin there, but also, it wouldn't be a Chris show without a bet on Tyler Reddick on the outright. What are you seeing out there from the Beast driver?
I mean, listen, look, we got the back-to-back Daytona Atlanta shirt on right now.
Couldn't get the 3 in a row, huh? It went too early. Splurged too early.
Yeah. I bought the shirt first. I didn't think that was going to happen. But yeah, listen, I am notoriously not a Reddick bettor on super speedways though. Like, I've always avoided Reddick like the plague at super speedways. Not anymore. Reddick has figured it out. Like, I don't think he did not luck into those wins. Reddick is very much a player on these tracks now. Like, there is no secret about it. His average finish in the last 5 races Daytona ranks 9th now. His comp average finishes, he ranks 3rd. Third this year as well. His average running position at Daytona specifically is 11th. His driver rating is 10th. Listen, I just think that Reddick, I think he might be the best in the Toyota camp. I think that's probably no question at this point.
Bubba at one point I felt like was giving,
Agreed.
That way, but I do feel like Bubba has regressed a little bit on super speedways over the last year or two.
Bubba's still a player for sure, and Bubba's still somebody I'm like considering. If like he's kind of like in the Buescher world for me, where like I think I'm going to be on Bubba in some way. I haven't figured out what that's going to be yet. But yeah, I love Reddick this week. I'm surprised we even got the 18-1, considering he's won 2 of the 5 super speedways we've had this year. 2 of the 4.
Yeah.
And he's still 18-1. Yeah, I just think he's been way too good to ignore. And if there's anyone who needs momentum going to the playoffs, it's the 45 team, because they are just absolutely on a slide right now. So, yeah, I'm on Reddick 18-1. I'm on Reddick 18-1 for the championship too. So I really need some momentum from him.
Okay. All right. Well, yeah, that would be certainly a bet that probably looked amazing, after the first couple of weeks of the season. And, still a great number, though. Still a great number to be on for sure. Chris, I'm going to go into the placement prop market here. I'm just running it back, dude. Again, third week in a row, SVG top 20 hammer of the week, baby. Minus 121 at Kalshi, 2 units down. I think I bet this line on SVG at a top 20, like probably 5 or 6 different times this year, Chris, and it always is cash for me. And like, this is a guy, we talked about it, just 31 points above Preece right now. So like, his one goal, avoid the fuckery. Nothing else. Avoid the fuckery. Top 20 in 6 of his last 7 races. And he's been so strong at the comps, dude. 6th best average finish this season. P6 at Atlanta 2. 20th at Dega. P6 at Atlanta 1. And I know his finishes at Daytona have not been awesome, but he has led laps in the last 2 races there while starting mid-pack. So, this is my biggest play 3 weeks in a row here, dude. Like, I just trust SVG, and like, if there was ever time to bet him on a Daytona top 20 line, I think it's right now, when he just needs the top 20 and he's pretty much into the next round. So yeah, give me a little SVG top 20 here, man. I didn't think I was going to do it again, but I'm back on my BS, dude.
Yeah, no, you're killing it, because I like this one a lot, because I saw when you would put in the sheet, and I thought about going to joining you on this one, because you're right. I mean, that's all he needs really to probably make the playoffs, is a top 20 finish. So
yeah.
like, yeah. I mean, the other thing I think there's a really big factor for him too is if Denny is right in what he thinks about what this package is going to do to the car, then I think it plays more into the hands of what we saw at Atlanta than Dega. And SVG has 2 6th place finishes at Atlanta this year. So like, that plays right in SVG's hands. So yeah, I like it a lot.
Also, I just want to say, whoever was on Kalshi earlier today, and Chris, I literally had it pulled up on my phone. I was about to hit submit. I had it also had a JHN top 20 at plus 135 that was hanging out there. And I was about to hammer it down for a unit. And all of a sudden, as I'm like scroll, like swipe to confirm, it goes from plus 135 to minus 168 in literally like as I'm swiping. And luckily I stopped going, but that could have been real bad, real quick. But like, I think that was Blaze Wolf, because Blaze Wolf's always out there on Kalshi betting these top 20s with me. So Blaze, if that was you, man, god dang, that's all I'll say, man. Because I was looking forward to maybe a little JHN plus money top 20. But I'll just say, man, like, what a blessing it has been to have top 20s this season, because it's been a market I've always liked to bet, especially at super speedways, and now to have them every single week, like, it's probably one of my biggest markets played almost all season. I don't know if you've been investing in it, but I know you're an outright guy. You're usually getting shorter odds with it, but at the same time, it's been fun. And even this week, I think it makes it a pretty good sweat overall. And I think someone too just went through like all the top 20s and just bet all the plus money ones, because all the ones I was looking at too, like even considering like Cody Ware all of a sudden went down, and so someone was definitely on this with me this week.
Yeah, no, and I'll say I'll add that. An angle that I do like about Kalshi, though, is, as soon as practice and qualifying start, maybe not this week, but for future weeks, just keep this in mind. When practice and qualifying starts, all the books come down. Kalshi stays up. So if you notice someone in practice that is just on a heater that's like super fast in practice, you can hammer the line really, really quickly and catch it hanging there before it gets bet down. So that's another pretty interesting angle of almost like an angle we don't really get from the sports books. So.
Yeah, we're gonna have to do an updated rank the books maybe in the off season. Get you and me and Elliot all on a show, because I think Kalshi might be my number one now, dude. It's really, really tough. I saw you had a rare Fanatics bet earlier today too. I've been waiting, like every year. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna do the Fanatics like week 2 of the NFL season, when I'm kind of have my biggest football cards of the season, and racing is still going, but I've not done that. So maybe this is the year to go with Fanatics. Although I hear it's a little bit clunky of an app.
Yeah, I don't love Fanatics. I've actually been limited like crazy over at Fanatics.
Oh, really?
So I can't get down very much. But Yeah, I mean they'll hang some. I think the Preece number is I think what I got on Fanatics. Like the longer they'll hang some longer outrights every once in a while. They're the ones who also someone in our Discord posts their head-to-heads every week.
Kyle. Kyle
Yeah.
every single week is getting crazy head-to-heads over that. I've almost downloaded it like 4 times because I'm like, man, but then I'm not going to, I have nothing to bet right now other than NASCAR that I'm going to use all the deposit bonus, so I haven't, but he does get crazy head-to-heads over there.
Yeah, that's the other cool part about it. But just be careful because they'll limit you really, really fast if you hit something big. So
don't get limited on the prediction markets, baby. Let's go. Let's go. Hunter making a great point as well about the prediction markets. This week, no practice, but they do even have the markets up during qualifying, I think. Yes, I have seen them as well. And, a great place to bet live during the race sometimes too. So, shout out to Kalshi there. We will get to some head-to-heads here in the head-to-heads matchup, but I did want to go to O'Reilly series here for a little bit, Chris. And dude, I said it, and I don't think I've bet on Austin Hill all year in the O'Reilly series because I swore off him last year after putting Eric Almirola in the wall and then like deleting half the field at Watkins Glen when I had a ton of money on some top tens there. But I'm doing it, man. Big country on the outright, plus 373 at Kalshi, 0.8 of a unit for me. And look, dude, this is a crazy number when you consider like on retail, he's 3-1 everywhere. So plus 373 feels really good for a driver who's like got to be feeling himself a little bit right now. Hot off signing a new deal. He's feeling good. And this is someone who's won 44.4% of the races here in the O'Reilly series since coming over to RCR in 2022. Chris, like implied odds don't add up right now to get a plus 373 on this. I was shocked at this number. And he's led an average of 29.7 laps per race, won 36.8% of the stages in that span as well. And this year, just in particularly at super speedways, he's led laps or scored stage points at all 4 super speedway races. And I just feel like he's kind of due, man. Like he hasn't won one of these races since Daytona earlier this year when he swept the stages, led 78 of the 120 laps out there and had a 3.0 average running position. So a little big country for me. I know you're not a big O'Reilly series better, but can I interest you in a little Austin Hill outright for once?
Listen, I don't bet O'Reilly often, but so the super speedways I typically dabble. So I haven't done a deep dive yet into what I want to do. I typically do the longer shots. Like I feel like I always bet like one of the Sieg brothers here, and like I always go for like the Jeb Burtons and the
little Jebby,
yeah, like stuff like that. I'd like some fun long stuff, but yeah, I mean Austin Hill. I think the only thing that I'm like hesitant on Austin Hill is like before this year, absolutely. Like I had no shame in betting Austin Hill just because it felt like an automatic. Like I didn't care if it was plus 200. Like it was going to cash. You just knew he was going to win the race. I do feel like the field is catching up to the RCR cars a little bit this year on super speedways, though. They don't seem like they're as dominant. So while this is still a very fair number, and I have no complaints with it, I think the field's catching up, specifically like JR Motorsports. Like I think they're right there. So
Chevy as a whole has looked nice. Even like Viking's been throwing out some good units as a whole. So no, I'll run through 3 more placement props I have for you guys on the O'Reilly side of things, and we'll get to our head-to-head matchup contest. But first, I'm going to go to JRM. Give me Rajah Caruth top 10. Right now, I'm getting plus 125 at Caesars, 0.6 of a unit. Earlier this season, in his first race in the ADA in the O'Reilly series, Rajah started 7th, led a lap, scored 6 stage points, and had a 9.7 average running position, finished 10th in that race. Since then, he's been really good on these types of tracks, folks. Finished P8 at Atlanta. He started 6th in that race, led 22 laps, and then finished 2nd and 1st in the stages. So again, I think he can make a run up there because he's on that cut line. He's got to get some points. He finished P30 at Dega, but he started P7, led 5 laps in that race, and also finished stage 1 and 4th. So again, running up front. And last time out at Atlanta, P9 finish. Second time after starting 8th in that race, finished 4th and 3rd in those stages. So I think with Buddy being below the cut line, I think he's going to get himself a top 10 finish here. So as long as like the aggression doesn't get the best of him, sometimes we have seen that from Rajah. So that's kind of the gamble here, but I like it at plus 125 when I saw it more even money other places. Also, I got to do it, Chris. Slim Jim, baby, on the top 10, plus 181. We're going to also have to have you on, Chris, so make no plans in late November. I know that's a big family time, but for the NASCAR betting award show, because Parker Retzlaff might be the MVP right up there with the SVG for cashing all the top 20s for him this year. Plus 81 right here on plus 181 at Kalshi, 0.8 of a unit. And like, I just don't get how like we continue to leave him out there this long, man. He's had 3 straight top 10s at super speedways here. P3 at Atlanta, scored 3 stage points that night. P9 at Dega, scored stage points that day. P2 at Atlanta the first go around and scored 11 stage points, man. He did finish P14 outside the top 10 at Daytona. So that's like the one thing about this. But he did score 5 stage points in that race, was 6 by mid-race and a 12.3 average running position. And he started 27th that day. So you counteract with him coming up through the field there. He was pretty much a top 10 car that entire race. He's 46 points to the good right now. So he's another guy, kind of like SVG. Just keep it clean here, grab some stage points, and he can make his first playoff of his O'Reilly Series career. So super excited about Slim Jim here. And again, I just think I'm getting better odds than at retail where it's closer to plus 130. So prediction markets, again, having an advantage there. And I'll round us out. I got to do it. A little Western Pennsylvania love here on the top 10. Garrett Smithley, top 10, plus 850 at the score bet right now. I'm down for half a unit. And dude, look, he did this last time out. He finished P6 at Atlanta. He had a 13.3 average finish on super speedways this season as a whole coming into this race. And he did fail to qualify here in the spring. We were down south in Florida. But if you go back to the 2025 fall race here, he finished 8th. And he even led a lap in that race after starting all the way back in 36. So, again, this is one actually flipped where prediction markets, I think we've seen some sharp action go over there. Plus 530 is where you're seeing it there. So, nearly 9-1 feels like a pretty good deal here on a little Garrett Smithley action with the hard hat. What do you think of a little O'Reilly action on Smithley, Parker Retzlaff, and Rajah Caruth?
So I was just looking at some stats while you were kind of talking. I have a question for you. Do you know who has the best average finish this year in 2026 of all the O'Reilly drivers at the 4 super speedways?
Oh, is it Gator? Gator is a good one. Is it?
It's Parker Retzlaff.
Is it okay?
Average
let's
finish of 7. He ranks 4 positions better than anybody else. Well, I will say there's a caveat there. As long as you take out the guys who haven't run all 4. So technically Rajah stands first because with an average finish of 6, but he's only run 1 race.
Okay.
Alfredo's right behind him. JJ Vales are behind him. They also only ran 1 race. But Retzlaff with an average finish of 7, Jesse Love with an average finish of 11.75. So a 4 position difference for Retzlaff. I like that. That's good. That's
dude,
nice.
I'm telling you, dude, Slim Jim. We need to get Slim Jim on the program. Come on down, Slim Jim.
That's a fun one for sure. And Rajah, we talked about him earlier, right? With the bubble, right? And he actually ranks. I was just looking at this too. He ranks 4th in average running position among all O'Reilly drivers. So, yeah, listen, I think you're doing good with these prop bets for sure. I'm gonna be more invested than I thought I was on the O'Reilly race this weekend.
All right, come on down. Let's get some squad rides going. And Chris, we're heading to the head-to-head matchups contest now. Where Elliot and I last week we were on a head-to-head together. It did not go our way. Let's check out the standings. We have Lars and Blaze Wolf back tied up at the top here, 15 apiece. And Chris, all of a sudden, coming up on you with 14, tied with Elliot, of course. Kyle with 13, and I'm still bringing up the rear with 12, man. Chris, you got to feel pretty good all of a sudden. You were, kind of winning this thing for what? The first 11 weeks were absolutely hot on gainers and then went through like an absolute cold streak. And all of a sudden, you're kind of back in the mix here. It's got to feel pretty nice, man.
I'm glad, but I'm still pissed because my matchup was a lock this past week. Byron was absolutely shitting on Cindric and then loses that wheel and it ruined everything. So I should be tied with the leaders right now, and I'm not. But it's okay. I'm only 1 game back, so we're in the mix.
Yeah, could be a lot worse. Yeah, it could be like me where I thought Chris Bell might bring it home in the truck series for me last week in a couple different markets and then get spun. Chandler Smith and him get into it a little bit, and that one hurts, but. I think I got one this week for you, and I'm going to throw it out there. I've actually bet this as well. Ross Chastain minus 115 right now at Caesars against Bowman. I'm a unit down, so nothing crazy, but Ross is 3-1 against him at super speedways, and Ross was someone, Chris, I actually was like, I kind of want to get invested in the 1 car this week, and I don't think I've bet this guy maybe 3 times this season in the Cup Series. I've been more betting him when he's gone down to O'Reilly's or trucks. But actually second in average finish at comp tracks this season. And if you look at 2025 and 2026 as a whole, he's second as well. 3-1 against Alex Bowman in the last 4 Daytona races. I know Bowman went through that stretch in the early next gen where it was like, oh, we're at Daytona, fire up Bowman on the pole, fire up Bowman for a top 10. He has not been very good at Daytona over the last 2 years. So I like Ross. He's 11th in our projections. Bowman down at 18th. So a little gamble for Ross Chastain for me over Alex Bowman. Where are you going in the head-to-head matchup contest?
I'm going with. I'm drawing a blank. Chris Buescher over. Who did I do? Ty Gibbs. Chris Buescher over
Ty Gibbs. Yeah, I did see that. That was actually another one I was really keen on.
Yes. Yeah. So I mean, this is just purely off of like I think Chris Buescher is among the maybe not elite, but he's very good at super speedways, and Ty Gibbs just he ain't it. I know he's had a great year. All props to him. Hats off for the year he's had. But super speedways, he is not the guy. And I think, especially if we see the Toyotas get linked up at the end of the race, like I don't think that they even trust Ty as like a pusher either. So whereas Buescher, like I said earlier in the show, like I fully expect Buescher to be looking for his teammates, be looking for Preece, trying to get to the front. If not win this thing, if Preece gets wrecked out early, like Buescher's going to be a player. I don't think Ty Gibbs is. So this is a pretty easy one for me, to be honest.
Yeah, I don't hate it at all. Chris Buescher in the metric 3rd, Ty Gibbs all the way down 14th. So, a pretty big gap too when you're looking for those. Again, everything come out in the wash here. I was considering it. Minus 130 is kind of tough for me to go, on a super speedway. But, when you're just playing it for a contest and don't have to have real money on it, that's what you got to do. So, Chris, great having you on the show, man. And so great having you with us on our team this season. Well, I think you'll be back for Bristol with us. Is that right? Is that the next race we'll have? You and I will be on the program together?
Yep.
Nice.
Yep.
Awesome. Well, thanks again for all your work, man. We'll have a lot of fun then. We'll have a lot of fun this off season as well, but appreciate all your work. Make sure you guys are checking out Chris's model and projections every single week in the IBT Racing family. You can go to right now in-betweenmedia.com/chat. Go ahead and join over there. And guys, make sure you're checking out everything we have going on here at FSAN Racing. Elliot just put out, I believe earlier today, a full truck series chase breakdown. We're going to have a chase breakdown coming out over the next couple weeks for both O'Reilly series and Cup series. So lots of fun happening there. And if you rode along with us this long, please give this video a thumbs up if you enjoy this type of content, and subscribe to the channel right now. And also check out the FSAN HQ channel so you don't miss any of our content across all the sports that we're covering here, whether that's football, basketball, racing, baseball, and golf. We'd appreciate that. And also some dope written content dropping over there at fsan.com. For my buddy Chris Collichio, I'm Seth Woolcock. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you on the next lap around the back road. Thank you.